There it is. Hi, everybody. Everybody being whoever tunes in later, because I know nobody's here right now. Good morning. It's Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025, and this is Witnessing Stupidity. I'm going to take a close look. I keep looking over here because this is where the screen is that I'm reading stuff off of, but I'm going to move some things over here. So I'm looking right at you. And oh, that's the wrong side. Anyway, what I want to examine today is all the red flags that were out there about Donald Trump before he became president the first time, and why didn't that set off alarm bells with more people? Why was he able to become president? How he built it? He built a cult essentially, and he had plenty of financial backing, and somehow that is what made that happen. But what I want to focus on today is Jane Doe proceeding under a pseudonym, plaintiff versus Donald J. Trump, Jeffrey E. Epstein, defendants in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, which was filed on October 3rd, 2016, a month before the November 8th election, 2016, which of course he won. And that reads, complaint for rape, sexual misconduct, criminal sexual acts, sexual abuse, forcible touching, assault, battery, intentional and reckless infliction of emotional distress, duress, false imprisonment, and defamation. Basically, this girl, she was 13 years old at the time. She claimed that, she's a woman when she files this. She filed it 20 years later. But, there's no statute of limitations for kids being raped. So when she was 13 years old, she says, plaintiff was subject to acts of rape, sexual misconduct, criminal sexual acts, sexual abuse, forcible touching, assault, battery, intentional and reckless infliction of emotional distress, duress, false imprisonment, threats of death and or serious bodily injury by the defendants that took place at several parties during the summer months of 1994. So that was, 22 years prior when the girl was 13. So she filed this when she'd been 35 or so. The parties were held by defendant Epstein at a New York City residence that was being used by defendant Epstein at 9 East 71st Street in Manhattan. During this period, plaintiff was a minor of age 13 and was legally incapable of New York law of consenting to sexual intercourse and the other sexual contacts detailed herein. This is a 15-page document. Well, the case number, the case document is 10 pages, but there's some supporting documentation behind it. And I'm not going to get into the nasty details that it has. I've got the link there if you want to see this document, and it's been out there. What's surprising to me is that when it hit the news cycle in 2016, nobody ran with it. Nobody went crazy and said, hey, this guy, these guys, Epstein and Trump, these are bad guys. Look at what's going on here. But instead, they filed the original complaint back in June 2016, and something happened with that. It went sour. The lawsuit was dismissed for technical reasons, according to the internet. And then the second lawsuit was filed. That was the one in April 2016. filed in California using the pseudonym Katie Johnson. This is the same person. Then she decided she's going to go by Jane Doe this time in June 2016 using that pseudonym. And it was drawn in November 26th, 4 days before the election. So the thing is, there was only one news outlet, and that was The Guardian, that was reporting on this. Everybody else kind of glossed it over. They didn't say much about it. I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't build upon it. And I don't know why she dropped the suit, other than she felt threatened. It's stated on page 6, number 17, as a direct and proximate result of the sexual assaults and rapes perpetrated by defendants upon her, plaintiff had been subjected to public scorn, hatred, and ridicule, and has suffered threats against her life and physical safety. That's why she's never used her real name, and that's why she didn't move forward. At that point in time, he's about to become president, and or possibly become president. You know, the election wasn't decided yet. And maybe they thought they could step back and do a better job if he loses. But that's not what happened. So this lawsuit never came back. But the point is that there was a lot of this out there, not just this statement, one lawsuit. There were about 30 different women that said over and over again, hey, Donald Trump abused me. And why didn't more people care about that is the big question. Now, why didn't they know, but why didn't they care? They knew. I posted this on, I reposted this on Blue Sky yesterday. And it's from a Substack by K.R. Byers. She's got a list of women who accused him of sexual conduct. It's a TikTok video that's a couple minutes long, and it's just a slideshow of the women who were in his teen pageants that he owned. He used to walk into the locker room backstage while all the girls were getting dressed. He said he could do that, and this is on tape. I've heard the tape. You've probably heard the tape where he said, "You can just walk in. I own the place. I can do what I want," and that's how he feels about all this. But why didn't anybody go after him in a stronger way? How was he so powerful from that point? There is supporting documentation in this complaint. They demanded a jury. They didn't get it, of course. And there's a declaration in support of plaintiff's request for a protective order. And let's see here. This is Jane Doe's statement. I'm going to read. I, Jane Doe, the plaintiff in this matter proceeding under a pseudonym, state as follows. I am a competent adult over 18 years of age, able to testify as to personal knowledge. The facts in this declaration are true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief, and I am competent to testify to them if called upon to do so. Number 2, I was subject to extreme sexual and physical abuse by the defendants, including forcible rape that took place at several parties of defendant Epstein during the summer of 1994 in New York City at a residence used by defendant Epstein. During this period, I was 13 years old. Number 3, more particularly, I traveled by bus to New York City in June 94 in the hope of starting a modeling career. I went to several modeling agencies, but was told that I needed to put together a modeling portfolio before I would be considered. I then went to the Port Authority in New York City to start to make my way back home. There I met a woman who introduced herself to me as Tiffany. She told me about the parties and said that if I would join her at the parties, I would be introduced to people who could get me into the modeling profession. Tiffany also told me I would be paid for attending. Number 4, the parties were held at a New York City residence that was being used by defendant Jeffrey Epstein. Each of the parties had other minor females and a number of guests of Mr. Epstein, including defendant Donald Trump, at 4 of the parties I attended. I understood that both Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. 5, defendant Trump had sexual contact with me at 4 different parties in the summer of 1994. On the 4th and final sexual encounter with defendant Trump tied me to a bed, exposed himself to me, and then proceeded to forcibly rape me. During the course of this savage sexual attack, I loudly pleaded with defendant Trump to stop, but he did not. Defendant Trump responded to my pleas by violently striking me in the face with his open hand and screaming that he would do whatever he wanted. Number 6, immediately following this rape, defendant Trump threatened me that were I ever to reveal any of the details of defendant Trump's sexual and physical abuse of me, my family and I would be physically harmed, if not killed. Number 7, defendant Epstein had sexual contact with me at 2 of the parties that summer. On the second occasion involving defendant Epstein forced himself upon me and proceeded to rape me anally and vaginally, despite my loud pleas to stop. Defendant Epstein then attempted to strike me about the head with his closed fists while he angrily screamed at me that he, defendant Epstein, should have been the one who took my virginity, not defendant Trump, before I finally managed to break away from defendant Epstein. Number 8, immediately following this rape, just like defendant Trump, defendant Epstein threatened me not to ever reveal any of the details of defendant Epstein's sexual and physical abuse of me, or else my family and I would be physically harmed, if not killed. Number 9, both defendants had let me know that each was a very wealthy, powerful man and indicated that they had the power, ability, and means to carry out their threats. Indeed, defendant Trump stated that I shouldn't ever say anything if I didn't want to disappear like Maria, a 12-year-old female that was forced to be involved in the 3rd incident with defendant Trump, and that I had not seen since that 3rd incident, and that he was capable of having my whole family killed. Number 10, the duress imposed on me by defendants not to ever reveal any of the details of the sexual and physical abuse caused to me by defendants has not terminated, and fear it has instilled in me has not subsided. Unfortunately, making matters worse for me, I was subjected to daily painful reminders of the horrific act of defendant Trump via mass media coverage of him starting last summer that over a short period of time became continuous and unavoidable. Number 11, the duress had prevented me from starting litigation before this year. However, as soon as I surfaced, I received threats. More specifically, shortly after my first complaint was filed in California on April 26, 2016, I started receiving threatening phone calls on a cell phone I then owned. The calls were never more than 20 seconds or so before they hung up, and they were always from a blocked or unavailable phone number, according to my caller ID feature. Since I changed phone numbers, the threatening calls have completely stopped. Number 12, this litigation involves matters that are highly sensitive and of a personal nature, and I believe that identification of me would pose a risk of retaliatory physical harm to me and to others. Number 13, I have no reason to believe that the defendant's threats have ever been lifted or ever will be lifted. And so I request that the court issue an order protecting me and my family from harm and harassment by the defendants. I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. Signed, Jane Doe, a pseudonym, on June 18th, 2016. So people don't just make this stuff up for fun. If somebody went to that great a detail, even if they got a little hazy after 22 years and couldn't remember everything, if it's traumatic enough, you're going to remember everything. You're going to remember what happened and you're going to be able to say it. But that absolute threat of death and disappearance, that stopped her from coming forward. And she still couldn't use her own name. She was so afraid. And then there is Tiffany Doe, a pseudonym, a declaration of support in plaintiff's request for protective order. And Tiffany Doe writes, a pseudonym states as follows. Number one, I'm a competent adult over 18 years of age, able to testify as to personal knowledge. The facts in this declaration are true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief, and I am competent to testify to them if called upon to do so. Number two, I originally met Jeffrey E. Epstein in New York City in 1990 when I was the age of 22. I attended a series of parties in that same year of 1990 where I was paid to entertain various guests of Mr. Epstein. Number three, in the year 1991, I was promoted to the occupation of party planner, in which my duties were to get attractive adolescent women to attend these parties. Number four, I was hired by and paid directly by Mr. Epstein from the years of 1991 to 2000 to attract adolescent women to attend these parties, most of which were held at what is known as the Wexner Mansion, located at 9 East 71st Street in New York City. Number five, in June 1994, while performing my duties as a recruiter of adolescent women to attend Mr. Epstein's parties, I met a 13-year-old adolescent woman, the plaintiff in this matter, at the Port Authority in New York City, who said that she had come to New York City in hopes of starting a modeling career. Number six, I persuaded the plaintiff to attend a series of parties of Mr. Epstein that took place during the summer of 1994. I told her that if she would join me at the parties, she would be introduced to people who could get her into the modeling profession, and she would be paid for attending. Number seven, it was at these parties that I personally witnessed the plaintiff being forced to perform various sexual acts with Donald J. Trump and Mr. Epstein. Both Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein were advised that she was 13 years old. Number eight, I personally witnessed 4 sexual encounters that the plaintiff was forced to have with Mr. Trump during this period, including the 4th of these encounters where Mr. Trump forcibly raped her despite her pleas to stop. Number 9, I personally witnessed the one occasion where Mr. Trump forced the plaintiff and a 12-year-old female named Maria perform oral sex on Mr. Trump and witnessed his physical abuse of both minors when they finished the act. Number 10, I personally witnessed or was made immediately aware of the 2 occasions where my boss, Mr. Epstein, attempted to rape and sodomize the plaintiff. I personally witnessed Mr. Epstein sexually and physically abuse other minor females, even younger than her. Number 11, it was my job to personally witness and supervise encounters between the underage girls that Mr. Epstein hired and his guests. Number 12, I personally witnessed Mr. Trump physically threaten the life and well-being of the plaintiff if she ever revealed any details of the physical and sexual abuse suffered by her at the hands of Mr. Trump. Number 13, I personally witnessed Mr. Epstein physically threaten the life and well-being of the plaintiff if she ever revealed the details of the physical and sexual abuse she suffered at the hands of Mr. Epstein or any of his guests. Number 14, I personally witnessed defendant Trump telling the plaintiff that she shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear like the 12-year-old female Maria, and that he was capable of having her whole family killed. 15, after leaving the employment of Mr. Epstein in the year 2000, I was personally threatened by Mr. Epstein that I would be killed and my family killed as well if I ever disclosed any of the physical and sexual abuse of minor females that I personally witnessed Mr. Epstein or any of his guests. Number 16, I'm coming forward to swear to the truthfulness of the physical and sexual abuse that I personally witnessed of minor females at the hands of Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein, including the plaintiff, during the time of my employment from the years of 1990 to 2000 for Mr. Epstein. I swear to these facts under penalty of perjury, even though I fully understand that the life of myself and my family is now in grave danger. I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. June 18th, 2016, Tiffany Doe, a pseudonym. Then there's another shorter declaration from Joan Doe, a pseudonym, stating as follows. Number 1, I am a competent adult over 18 years of age, able to testify as to personal knowledge. The facts in this declaration are true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief, and I am competent to testify to them if called upon to do so. Number 2, in the 1994-95 school year, I was told by the plaintiff Jane Doe versus Trump and Epstein that the plaintiff was subject to sexual contact by the defendants at parties in New York City during the summer of 1994. I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. Joan Doe, a pseudonym. So even though we don't have their names, and Tiffany Doe was an adult who pimped out these little girls, they were all afraid. They were threatened. That's why they didn't come forward. And why the news media, when they did find this out, didn't get all over it, and other people didn't demand that there be a trial, why it was quashed, why it was withdrawn, 4 days before the election. They sent a notice of voluntary dismissal pursuant to the complaint. Hereby giving notice that the above captioned action is voluntarily dismissed against the defendants without explanation. They were that scared. And this is well before Jeffrey Epstein died in prison, which is another story all to itself. So I'm going to leave it here for now. You've heard the complaint. You can't call it evidence because nobody has proof. What we need is more women like this to step forward. But it's too late to keep him from becoming president because he did. And as far as retribution for Epstein goes, well, he died in prison where he should have died. But how he died, that's another story too. There's some theories out there. I'm going to call this one done. And thank you for joining me. Hey, I've got a viewer, it looks like. Hi. I hope I was informational for you. Have a great day.